All right, we are live on YouTube. You know the program. Got to make sure the microphone works, camera works. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me before the radio show starts here momentarily on Raider Nation Radio. To jump in that chat and get us going here. Yes, good. Cisco, my brother from another. You can hear me. You can see me. We're good to go. Yes. 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 We're good. Good. How's everyone doing? How was the weekend? Good. Thanks for hearing me. I'm gonna do some name dropping. Went to the Raiders Gala, which was pretty spectacular on Saturday. So I'll get into that. We have who do we have on today? We have Gilbert Manzano at Sports Illustrated. He will join us a little bit later on the show. Also, Darren Millard. Look at my wife moving the brick background, helping me out if she's watching. Thank you. Thank you very much. And what else? Hey, can I get a water, please? I got radio voice. Can you grab me a water, please? Matter of fact, maybe I should grab a water quick. Thank you. All right, good. We got it. Yeah, I need one of those. Give me a throat, grab me a throat lozenge, or if you can. That's okay. All right. All right. All right, like we do here, put in the chat what you want to talk about because we're in Raiders dead zone, no man's land. We're in no man's land. Everything is just pure speculation right now. There's nothing concrete. So it's weird for about 3 weeks here. So a little help from you would be appreciated. Pick any topic, throw it in the chat. Thank you. Out of the gate, JT today on a good, solid Monday as we're coming off a big weekend here in Las Vegas and we got a big week ahead. We will stay very busy over the next couple of weeks as we count down to the NFL draft and what the Silver and Black need to do coming up here. In the draft, it is all speculation as I am live on YouTube. JT the Brick YT, everybody says everything's working okay. We got the brick backdrop. We got the Yeti mic going. We got the new computer. We got the JT the Brick Yeti mug going big. We're ready to roll, and I need a little work here with the voice. We had a big weekend at the Raiders Gala. I'm going to be name dropping alert coming up here in a minute. And I'm in the process of doing one of my old school marathon runs. Yesterday on Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, everybody. If you celebrated, I hope you had a great Easter with your family and friends. I was on Mad Dog Sirius XM from 1 to 4 p.m. Easter Sunday. Man, that was a long stretch, man. And then today I got noon to 2 with you on the Raiders. And then I got 3 to 7 on Mad Dog. So I think I'm the only one in the world doing 6 hours of single host radio today. 6 hours in the next 7 hours. I got to talk for a living, which is a lot easier than putting out oil fires or being a fireman or a cop or doing probably what you do. So I'm gonna embrace it. I'm excited. I got the Final Four all set. Major League Baseball opened up. I'm a big Yankee fan, sweeping the Astros. How about that? And a lot of news coming up here with the mock drafts as I reached out to NFL Network and NFL.com, and they're going to jump in here and help us with a couple of guests along the way. So we'll have some good guests along the way, and we'll talk NFL draft. And every single draft guy and gal I have on, I'm going to say the same thing. Who are the Raiders going to take at 13? What should the Raiders do at 13? And it's either going to be one of three things. Obviously, they're going to trade up, they're going to stay at 13, or they're going to trade back. Those are the three options that are there. I think if they stay at 13, they could get Michael Penix Jr., who I just saw on a draft show. Everybody seems to like him because he ran fast and proved that he's not injured, and he ran really fast at his pro day, and he arguably throws the best deep ball. And the Raiders have guys who can run deep routes. Now, Devontae is a deep route runner, but his strength at his age now, he's not getting any younger, and he's still elite. Devontae's great with back shoulder. Devontae's great with slants. He's great 12 to 15 yards. But every once in a while, Devontae says, hey, I'm going up top, and the ball better be there. Michael Penix can throw a beautiful deep ball. I would assume J.J. McCarthy can. I go back to Rich Gannon, friend of the show. No one thought Rich Gannon could throw a deep ball. Rich would lead Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, everybody throw the ball 30 yards up in the air, and it would go 40 yards in the air. And I saw him throw a lot of bombs at work. Gardner Minshew can throw the deep ball, and I think the strength of Aiden O'Connell is probably his deep ball. Right? Aiden O'Connell, big, tall, strong. He can throw a deep ball and let it fly. But Penix is special, but maybe too early at number 13. A month ago, I would have said Michael Penix in the second round. But because everybody seems to be having a great pro day. Did you hear of any quarterback not having a great pro day? Have you heard of one quarterback that someone didn't say, oh, man, they had a great pro day? No one ever says, man, they look really bad on their pro day. So Penix ran fast. He makes big throws. He might be better than all these guys. So as Jerry opens up the show on YouTube, he says, get your quarterback at 13 and go from there. I love that. If you need a quarterback and you want a quarterback, get him at 13, and you don't have to give up anything. But if you want Jaden Daniels, you got to get up to 2, not to 3. If you really want Jaden Daniels, who I want, you got to get up to number 2. You can't even. What happens if you roll the dice and you get up to number 3 in a trade and Jaden Daniels is gone? You get Drake May, but I don't know what the connection is with Drake May. I know the connection with Antonio Pierce and Jaden Daniels. So it's complicated and it's unique. And it's not brain surgery here. We're not curing cancer. We're just finding out who's the best quarterback and how to get him. I think the Giants at number 6. I think the Vikings are going to trade up to number 4. I think the first 4 picks in the draft as of today are going to be quarterbacks in this order: Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy. Because I expect a trade with Minnesota getting up to number 4 with Arizona. So if 4 quarterbacks are gone on the first 4 picks, Raiders might look around and Tom Telesco might look around and go, we're out. We were trying to trade up. We can't do it. It's not our fault that no one wants to trade with us. We're going to stay here at 13, and then Michael Penix Jr. could be there, or Bo Nix could be available. And then you got to make a decision on what you're going to do there. This is one of the few years that I personally like to see the team be super aggressive in the draft, because Max Crosby and Devontae Adams aren't getting any younger. They're still in the prime of their career. Developing a Spencer Rattler, I don't have any interest in, because we have Aiden O'Connell. Let's develop Aiden O'Connell before we have to develop Spencer Rattler, even though Rattler's got a skill set that's pretty unique. He's a running quarterback and a playmaker there. The offensive line I'm a big fan of. As you know, I think the Raiders got to go get a right tackle. They have to get a right tackle. They have to. First or second round. And then I think there's going to be a player, maybe one player in the draft in the 3rd or 4th round that the Raiders can draft to start on defense. Starting on defense is important to me. Developing players. I'm into developing the quarterback. You're not hearing me draft a quarterback to just go out and start them. Whoever they draft, if they draft a quarterback in the first 13 picks, that quarterback's going to play at some point in the season. But a lot of people are talking about Gardner Minshew, man. Gardner Minshew got some good money, some good guaranteed money. He got a bag. He got some cash, Gardner Minshew, to play here, and he's pretty good. And Gardner Minshew is good enough to take this team to the playoffs. Aiden O'Connell, he was close to taking the team to the playoffs. He was. I mean, the Raiders were right on the verge of making the playoffs. And maybe if Aiden O'Connell started over Brian Hoyer at one point, and maybe if Jimmy Garoppolo was benched a little bit earlier, we would have been talking about that overall. Got to take a sip of water. I have radio voice. Excuse me there for a second. So these are decisions that are going to have to be made here pretty quickly, and Tom Telesco is the guy to go make it. I'm very comfortable with his track record in the first round. I think his track record in the first round is pretty impressive, and don't tell me Justin Herbert fell to him. He got Justin Herbert. Okay, that's on his resume. Some of the deals that they made, bringing over Khalil Mack, getting Joey Bosa, Derwin James. Look, we know that this guy, Tom Telesco, if he's got an opportunity, can jump in there and make a good pick. But he's got to make a good pick this year because the Raiders are on the verge, I believe, to being a perennial playoff team. I'm saying that. I was with Antonio Pierce the entire night on Saturday night, multiple times. I watched this guy work the room with the microphone. This team is on the verge of being a perennial playoff team if they don't screw it up, and that would be injuries. They have a horrendous draft, which I don't expect. So there are a lot of things that are happening here that could put this team in the playoffs for good. I mean, this is a team that's got to get to the playoffs starting this year and stay in the playoffs. Do what the Baltimore Ravens have done, the Green Bay Packers. Go down the list of the teams that don't go to the playoffs once every 8-10 years. They go every year. And some look at the Buffalo Bills the last couple of years. I picked them to win the Super Bowl a number of times. Buffalo goes to the playoffs automatically every year. And they've been close. And that's what I think the Raider fans want to see. Let's just get close. Let's get in the playoffs every year and do that. And let's do it where we have some good players in the prime of their career, including Devontae and Max Crosby. In their prime of their career, they don't deserve to wait. Max Crosby and Devontae don't want to watch guys develop. They want to go to the Super Bowl where their friends and peers go. And the only way that's going to happen is, bringing in Wilkins, right? You bring in a really good player at defensive tackle that can help you blow up other offenses and maybe win 2 more games than expected. And then you got a guy like Max going as an all-pro, being an elite player, and then Devontae finds the fountain of youth, and Devontae plays at a very high level. So those are some of the things that I'm sitting here thinking about today as we open up the show. Matt Marinovich says Minshew should start this season. He's got 4 years experience, and he can win on his own. Let Aiden sit and learn from the NFL game. I'm okay with that. But the only reason Aiden O'Connell will sit is if he's outplayed in the preseason. It's a very important point. That's after the draft, when these guys get together for OTAs, and then we start seeing them practice. This is going to be an unbelievable competition between Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. They are not going to hand the keys over. I think Antonio Pierce has a lot of passion for Aiden O'Connell because he's earned it at this point in time. Maybe Gardner Minshew has to outplay Aiden O'Connell, or maybe Aiden O'Connell's got to outplay Gardner Minshew. That's a long way away from now, man. That is a long way away as we open it up. Hey, we're brought to you by Golden Entertainment. They own the Strat, PT, 64-plus locations here in the Valley. I was over at the SG bar at the top of Flamingo over the weekend there for a little bit for a lunch with a friend. Flamingo in the 215. PT's fuels the monologue 5 to 7, midnight to 2, the best happy hour in town. So this hour is open. So I'd like to hear from some callers to open it up as we get this going. 702-365-9200. So I think you all want to hear about the Raiders Gala. I saw some people there, some fans were there. This was a big event. This is arguably the biggest event the Raiders have ever put on other than a game or something to that magnitude. It was at Wynn, in the Wynn ballrooms on Saturday night, and it was to benefit several mental health charities here in town. So Mark Davis, along with myself and others, threw the tux on, and I was honored to be invited to this event. It was a really cool room to be a part of and to see everybody there. And it was all about raising money. The Raiders have a foundation, and they want to give back. And they've been able to do that in the past, but this was a launch to the first ever one, and Mark Davis wanted to do it right. He didn't want to do it year one, year two, because he even said in his speech he had to prove to Las Vegas, they had to prove that the Raiders were bringing an army of fans here, that the Raiders were going to do certain things on the ground, and they have. So last night, Saturday night was a big event. They raised a lot of money for these charities. Live auction was fantastic. And then Antonio Pierce got on the microphone. He did two things I wanted to share with you. I emceed Emmett Smith's event last Thursday night at his restaurant here in town, and I emceed it out front and then inside the restaurant. And when I turned the microphone over to Emmett, it was just too loud. The room was packed. There was 400 people in the room. And Emmett tried to talk, and people are drinking and disrespecting and talking to bartenders. And Emmett finally had to say, come on, everybody, please give me 5 minutes. And that makes me very uncomfortable as an MC, because all I do is I make sure the room's quiet before I hand the microphone over. And at the Raiders Gala, there were a lot of people. I don't know how many hundreds of people were there. So when they had some few guest speakers up there, people were standing in their aisles next to their table talking to friends. Antonio Pierce got on stage and told everybody to kindly be quiet. And anybody else could have done that. Not me. I'm going to stay in my lane. I had a couple of cocktails going there. I'm ready to roll, but I'm not going to grab the microphone unannounced. Antonio Pierce did. And he went on stage and commanded the room to pay attention, because we're raising money and we're hearing stories about mental health and how to do certain things. I thought that was fantastic of the coach. Antonio Pierce is very aware of the room. So my wife and I get there, and my wife looked fabulous. She had on a nice gown, and we sat down at our table, which was number 32. I just mentioned that, the number of Marcus Allen. And as we sit down, to the left is Jack Jones, who had an unbelievable year. Jack Jones with that great interception with his wife, I believe. They've been together since high school from Long Beach. So it was great to have a conversation. And to the right of my wife was Dylan Parham and his significant other. So I sat with two Raiders, and we didn't talk a lot of football, but they were really excited to be there and be a part of this. They were really proud to be there, have a good time, and we had some nice conversations about the team and what they're doing. Then all of a sudden, my wife looks at me and she says, "Is that who I think it is?" I go, "Yeah, Babyface. Babyface is at our table. The multi-Grammy Award winner, Babyface." Bobby, you're going to have to find some Babyface for a little bit later on coming up here. And he sat with us for 2 hours because he didn't play till later in the show. Then the music came out. It was led by David Foster. David Foster and his wife, Catherine McPhee. She came out. She's a beautiful singer, American Idol, as you remember. She knocked out some of the classics. Jordan Sparks came out, knocked out a lot of the classics. And then we heard Babyface come out and do a set, which was pretty amazing. So the entertainment was really good the entire time. And then when the live auction was before that, Antonio Pierce got all the players to come. So Aiden O'Connell, who was there, everybody else who was there, to come up there and help raise money, which was a lot of fun. The offensive line, the defense. Jack Jones got on the microphone because they auctioned off Be a Raider for a day at the facility. He was great. So we had a beautiful evening. Beautiful evening, and Antonio Pierce took charge. He sang My Girl with Catherine McPhee, was up there singing, working the room, and having a really good time. So I want to give Antonio Pierce a lot of credit. I said that to him after the night. We went upstairs to the lobby of the Wynn, and a lot of people got together to have a few cocktails, and he was in the room. And he was working the room, saying hi to everybody. So it was a great night for not only Mark Davis, but Antonio Pierce, who did not sit in his seat. He did not sit in his seat. He got up and worked the room and helped raise a lot of money. And we're talking about a lot of money. You know, we're talking about big time money. I'm not privy to what it was, but you could tell a lot of money was raised that night. And maybe the highlight for me is Mike Haynes was sitting on a table in front of me. And I said to Jack Jones, I go, "Have you met Mike Haynes?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, he's arguably the greatest cornerback of all time." People say Deion Sanders, Mike Haynes. I lean to Mike Haynes. I'd say, "Would you like to meet him?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Hold on." And I went to get Mike Haynes and brought Mike Haynes over to meet Jack Jones. I put out a picture on Twitter, and they had a nice 5-minute conversation. And he came and sat down and was like, wow, you could tell he wanted to meet him. And that's what I like to do. I like to facilitate that if I can in any way. I did that with Robert Spillane and Phil Villapiano. If I see someone in the room who should meet someone else in the room, I like to do that. So that was a lot of fun to see Jack Jones sit back down and look at us and go, "Thank you." That was cool. And so you want to see these guys meet the legends. Mike Haynes is wearing his gold jacket in the room. He's elegant with his wife. So I had a lot of fun with that. Afterwards, again, a nice late night, very late night at the Wynn. But everybody there from the Raiders staff, all their proud partners, all the sponsors who bought tables. Man, this was not a cheap event, man. If you were in that room and you had a chance to be in that room by buying a table or buying a silent auction item, on behalf of the Raider organization, when I can, I'd like to thank everybody who showed up at the Raiders Gala, who put their paddle up and raised money for mental health charities. It was a special night. Mark Davis knocked it out of the park. He introduced himself as the two-time owner of the world champion Aces and the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. And he smiled with that because there were a lot of Aces people in the room. And it was a lot of fun. So if you had a chance to go and you're at the event, give me a call and let me know about it. But nice that the Raiders pulled off their first ever gala at Wynn. Wynn's fantastic, man. I mean, come on. Come on. You walk through Wynn, you take an escalator down to their convention space in their ballrooms, and you walk around and the staff, every time you put a napkin down, every time your drink's empty. Wynn, if you've been in Vegas as long as I have, and even long before me, you walk on that property and they just knock it out of the park. Wow. I mean, I'm talking service. I mean, the food's elegant, the drinks are great, but the people that work that room are just so kind. So thanks to the Wynn Resort and Casino, they were fantastic. And thanks for the Raiders for having me. Saw a lot of friends there, and that was really cool. Quickly on the Final Four. The Final Four is set. We got to do a better job at that. Last week, I felt like I was on an island. I've said on all my shows, the national show and this one, that Las Vegas is the sports and entertainment capital, and it's the home of the NCAA tournament. Even though we didn't have games here other than conference tournaments games, this is a gambling sport. So now to have Purdue in there, Duke got beat by North Carolina State. North Carolina State's been on a roll. We're going to see UConn go up against Alabama. I think most people want to see UConn Purdue, to see Zach Edey, the two-time player of the year, go up against UConn, the reigning champs, and let's see a fight. Let's see a brawl. Let's see the big men go after it. If we can get that, I think that'll be special. So if you're betting the Final Four, I said this yesterday on the radio. I said, UConn's won this thing. UConn is not losing this year. They are much better than everybody else. And UConn just went out and kicked ass. What they did to my wife's Illinois, they just boat raced them. They were on a 30-0 run. I've never seen that before. So I think it's going to be really tough to beat UConn and Danny Hurley, and I think they're going to win it all. Major League Baseball opened up, and that was a big-time story. There were a couple of games, and if you want to get into your team here on baseball, what I'm trying to implore to everybody is we got to step outside and do more sports talk in these next 3 weeks other than the draft. So if you feel like you want to talk about something else other than the Raiders draft and who we don't know they're going to take, jump on in on that. And then the story about Rashee Rice, the wide receiver of the Kansas City Chiefs. And, Kansas City Chiefs have had some really bad guys. Tyreek Hill's a bad guy. He's a really great player. He's a bad guy. But now what we're seeing with Rashee Rice is he was in a 6-car accident, reportedly, and then there's investigation in place, reportedly because they were racing a Lamborghini and a Corvette. And then there was an accident on a Dallas freeway. And all reports, and this is coming, they're still searching for Rashee Rice. I cannot believe I'm on the radio today, noon Pacific. And as far as I can see, according to the Dallas Morning News, he has now supposedly have gained legal advice here and is about to turn himself in, I would think. And look, the Raiders have had some bad guys too. Damon Arnett's a bad guy. Bad guy. Okay, I never liked Damon Arnett from his transactions when he came in here. Transgressions and what he's done. Every team is going to have someone who gets in trouble. There's going to be a car accident. There's going to be a DUI. You hope none here in Vegas. It happens. We had the situation, which was awful, with Henry Ruggs. So now everybody's talking about Rashee Rice in this investigation. So as I follow, he's 23 years old. He grew up there. So I've been following TMZ because TMZ is the best on this topic by far because they're owned and run by attorneys. So they don't put anything out unless it's accurate. They are starting to show video from the car accident where it looks to be Rashee Rice getting out of a vehicle and walking away as a 4-year-old boy was injured. You can't find something more pathetic and gross than that is that you leave the scene of a car accident. You leave the scene of a car accident. TMZ Sports 22 hours ago, dash cam footage from the crash allegedly involving Chiefs Rashee Rice's car. And then they see, this is TMZ, the first crash site photos involving Rice's car and the occupant seen leaving. So this has made my blood boil here over the last couple of days or the last 24 hours, because can you imagine being a man or a woman, but let's stick to the guys, who are in a serious car accident and then they walk off the freeway with bags that some people are alleging they had things in the bags, and then jumping over the divider and leaving a car accident while a mom and a young boy was involved in a car accident. Do you know the type of lowlife you have to be? The type of awful human being that you have to be to walk away from a car accident where innocent people, and I'm not saying they were because no one died, but innocent people could be fighting for their lives and need assistance, and you're a 23-year-old football player, and you're walking away from that. Andy Reid's son was involved in a very critical car accident that injured people. Now the Kansas City Chiefs have another individual involved in it. So all I'm saying is a lot of times I don't like to speculate on car accidents. Like if it's a bank robbery, I can see it's a bank robbery. A car accident, if I wasn't there for it, there's a little bit of dash cam footage, you look at it and you go, okay, this is really unbelievable. But there's enough video evidence now showing that these low-life thugs, I use the word thug every day, 5 times a day. It has nothing to do with race or the color of your skin. If you intimidate, if you drag race Easter Sunday, drag race on a freeway with individuals, you are a thug. You are a piece of garbage. And if you unfortunately get into an accident that could kill people, you stay on the scene until the police come and the ambulance come and you try to assist. You try to break into cars, get people out of their seatbelts and assist. That's what men do. So this guy is awful. Roger Goodell, so he's a great player. Hey, Henry Ruggs was a great player. There's great players who get into horrible accidents and do something, and they have accountability or not. I wanted to fit this in the monologue here because I'm not going to take calls on this and speculate, but I needed to drop it in here because a member of the Detroit Lions was AWOL. He had to turn himself in, their former cornerback they cut. And Rashee Rice now, who has 23 years old, great player with Kansas City. If it turns out that Andy Reid, and this is very important, if Andy Reid sits down with this young man and says, were you driving that car? Yes. Were you speeding? Yes. Were you there? You got into the accident? Yes. That's okay. It's a tremendous bad sign of judgment. But if Andy Reid looks this guy in the eyes and said, did you walk away from the accident as a 4-year-old boy was in an accident? Did you leave the scene of the accident? Yes or no? And if Rashee Rice says, yes, I left, Andy Reid should cut his ass right there. You clean out his locker room. You get him out of your organization because that is a severe lack of judgment. People make mistakes all the time. There are mistakes and there are tragedies, right? A mistake, you make a mistake, you do something, you back into someone in a parking lot at a grocery store, you give them your license. That's a mistake. And then there are tragedies where people get killed in a car accident. And if Rashee Rice was involved with this, and maybe he was told to leave because what might have been in those bags, which is starting to come together, whatever it is, you do not leave the scene of a crime ever, under no circumstance. And that's what we saw here. So that was disturbing to me, man. I was really bothered by that over the weekend here. On a lighter, happier note, I hope you had a great Easter holiday. I hope you're engaged and excited about your faith. And coming off that, I gave up red meat, and I broke the rule. I gave up red meat all through Lent until they put a little bit of steak in front of me Saturday night. Nodded to my wife. That's the longest I went in my life without that. I'm going to the Golden Knights tomorrow, the biggest game of the year at home. I'm going with a buddy of mine. We're going to the game to have some cervezas and watch the Golden Knights. Darren Millard will join us. The great analyst is coming up. We'll talk to him at 1:30. Gilbert Manzano coming up here in a bit. So we are ready to move here. Jordan Meredith was re-signed. That just came from Raiders PR. That was 24 minutes ago. And if you want to get into the show, 702-365-9200 is the number. Again, I'm doing 6 hours today. I don't need one phone call. Don't need one. Appreciate people when they want to call in. The phones have been weak around this part because I'm not the giveaway T-shirt guy. I'm not begging for a call. I could care less. But we have the best callers in all of radio in this show, and they're really good. So if you're going to take the time to call on the draft, put together a draft call, have something prepared, sound off like you got a pair here. I will get us through this dead zone. It is a dead zone until the week of the draft. I can sit here for the next 2.5 weeks and read mock drafts. I like to do better radio than reading mock drafts off NFL.com. But I want to hear from Raider fans on the pick, the need in the pick, Antonio Pierce. And I think we can have an honest conversation about how Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce are going to navigate through their first draft together. I think it's a very important topic. I'd like to hear what you think they're going to do. I'm really high on Michael Penix Jr. I love J.J. McCarthy. Make no mistake, I like J.J. McCarthy, Drake May, all right, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams more than Michael Penix Jr. But Michael Penix Jr., I'm fine with if he's available at 13 and all the other guys are gone. Hardcore Raider starts us off this week, Monday. Thanks for leading off the week. Appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Excellent phone call. That's exactly what I'm doing. There's a Raider fan named Hardcore Raider, calls in kind of consistently saying, this is the window, go do it. That's what I want to hear. I want to, because look, the plan, I'm the first to own it. Whenever a coach and a GM gets hired, I'm the first one they talk to. The first guy, luckily, as of now, they talk to is me. I'm one of the first, and I want them to do well. They all come in, they have to impress Mark Davis. They have to get through all the interviews. They get vetted for what they're going to do, and then they get hired. And what do? I get in line like a soldier behind them, hoping it's going to work. The plan is always good. The last plan was vetted by a lot of people, including Hall of Famers who were in the room, and we're talking, other people understanding that the Raiders wanted to try what McDaniel saw with Belichick, what Dave Ziegler saw with Belichick, to try to put that organization in place. I mean, give me a break. Has anybody ever heard of Tom Brady? Tom Brady's this close to, you can't see my fingers, this close to being a minority owner of the Raiders. Why? If it wasn't Tom Brady, 7-time Super Bowl champ, 6 with the Patriots, I don't think Mark would be offering minority ownership to him. Okay? It's one of the, if not the greatest player of all time. The plan they had was solid. They didn't execute the plan and they lost their jobs. That's it. They did. They lost their jobs. Josh McDaniels should have been better on offense. The offense was pathetic. Under Josh McDaniels, who called some of the greatest offenses in NFL history dating back 100 years. He failed really badly executing a game plan with the offense that looked like it couldn't complete a pass. Patrick Graham did really well on defense. There were some good things that happened. Dave Ziegler, I thought Dave Ziegler drafted some pretty good players, including the one I sat next to last night and Dylan Parham. But now it's got to be better. And Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco are the newest that I'm going to get behind like a soldier, hoping they have a great draft and they coach them up and we win. Pretty simple here. You're on the flagship of the silver and black. Yes. All right. Yeah, I'll be right there. All right, everybody, do me a favor. Click subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, click like. If you can, we're getting those YouTube numbers moving, man. And then we cut up some of it and we put them out in reels. All right, what do we got here? Tony, salute Raider Nation. All right, what's this old school? You think they told him to leave because of what he might have been in those bags? Yeah, I think there was probably something pretty shady in the bags. You know, I got a radio show. I don't want to get sued, but I'm reading the Dallas Morning News and some eyewitnesses and what they saw there. Stuart Swaggart sure thinks Purdue has a shot. He should. Stu's a great guy. Adam Sweeney said Aiden could beat Minshew out. Of course he can. Anybody can beat anybody out, man. This is going to be a challenge to see. Cisco Black Hole, best available player. Yeah, I think best available player starting out. Hey, Cisco, if it is best available player, it seems like it's going to be a right tackle. I think it's going to be a right tackle. James says, hey, JT, how about the sweep by my Yankees? Man, that was a great series with the Astros. Modelo time. Yes. So again, I'm going to read out of this chat on the radio. I don't read a lot of tweets. I don't read text messages. I'm going to read from this chat. So fill up that chat. Tell me what else is up. You know what's good when I do this first hour without a guest? Oh, so that's great. Right. Tom Jones. Yeah. Less. Less is more. Yeah, I got this weird marathon run today, man. It's going to be long, man. 6 hours live. So just starting off the first to 6 and then 3 to 7 tonight on Mad Dog Sports Radio, that'll be treading water in the deep water because I just don't think a lot of people are calling in or talking or tweeting about the NCAA tournament. I've been doing this a long time, man. March Madness is not what it used to be. The NFL and then the NBA, LeBron James and Steph Curry trying to make a run, which is good. The Masters are next week. But I tell you, this NFL draft can't come soon enough, man. We need the draft to kind of get things going. Your car today. 1877 car for kids. God, how long has that commercial been running, man? Ooh. Yeah. Bobby, what do you want to do for sound here? What do you like here? Let me look at this. What do you want to come out with? Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Kobe's dad sold Kobe's ring for $972,000. Kobe Bryant's dad sold Kobe's ring that Kobe gifted him for almost $1 million. I bring that up because he lives in my neighborhood. He literally lives 10 houses from me. That's weird. I didn't know that. Yeah, right there. That's Tom Telesco as he sat down with Eric Allen and myself on the quarterback situation. JT back with you, brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. The brothers have your back. Imagine this. You get into an accident. We just talked about a big one in Dallas, and you got two brothers with a legacy with their father's firm. Now, as they've grown this firm, there to just help. The brothers win. The brothers have your back. If you get into an accident, 702-222-9999. We have open lines. We should never have an open line. The Raider Nation is bigger. It's a global fan base. We have a flagship station. We're not on the opposite station of the flagship. We're on the Raider station. There are Raider fans listening to me all over the world. You're all on the bleeping clock because we got the draft coming up and we got to make decisions here. Wake up and get this week going here. I'm excited to be on. Let's roll. 702-365-9200. The biggest event in sports tonight is Caitlin Clark from Iowa versus LSU. That is a massive, massive story because LSU, they like to chirp. Angel Reese likes to chirp. Put her hands in front of her face and show her fingernails with the rings on it, pretending because she does have a ring. And Caitlin Clark plays very angry. She plays very angry. And she comes in there and she wants this game more than anything, as it's a trip to the Final Four. So we got a rematch on the line here. This is going to be massive. And all my years of doing this, of course, I've talked about women's sports. I mean, we're a full service radio show. This is big. Tonight, I will sit in front of the TV and I will watch the entire game. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. LSU's got a better team. They're the reigning champs. They have a better team. But I think one of the greatest players of all time is Caitlin Clark, and she's got to show up tonight. My guy Stephen A. Smith said that this morning on First Take, and it went viral. She's got to have a big game. When you're playing in a game of this magnitude, she has to play great, and I think she'll be able to do that. So that's one of the games that we'll be watching, and I want to see what's going to happen here. The Final Four being set is really cool because I think this Final Four has got the potential for a heavyweight final, which could be a lot of fun there. And the NBA is starting to pick up. Look at this. All of a sudden, the NBA is heating up because Steph Curry and LeBron James are on the verge of not making the playoffs. And they're playing their butt off now to get in the playoffs in this lame play-in tournament for the playoffs, the losers bracket. And now everybody's back to talking about LeBron and the Lakers and Steph and the Warriors, because if they just get in, they have a chance to do something. Tony says, JT, are you going to watch Mike Tyson in July versus one of the Paul brothers? No, I'm not. It's garbage. It's garbage. And again, I'm a boxing guy. I think I'm a boxing insider. I've been to over live 100 world championship fights. I would never support this YouTube boxing garbage against a guy in his 50s. Now, if Jake or Logan Paul was fighting the reigning champ like Tyson Fury or someone like that, I'd have to watch. I'd have to watch because it's Tyson Fury, the reigning champion of the world. And I just don't support garbage. And they're not going to get my money. My sons might watch it because my son's in that demographic, but I'll watch the highlights and the clips. That's something interesting. Also, another big topic that we found out over the weekend, and I think it's an important topic for Raider fans because you pay some of the most expensive prices for tickets. You pay some of the most expensive prices for tickets. We found out that first game of the year, Philadelphia is going to be playing in South America and they're going to be playing on Peacock pay-per-view. It's basically, if you don't buy Peacock, you can't watch it. You have to stream it that way. That's a money grab. The Yankees this past weekend, yesterday, the Yankees were put on ESPN Plus. Okay, I don't have ESPN Plus. My son does. So I'm sitting in my home studio, which you can see me now in my home on YouTube, JT the Brick YT. JT the Brick YT on YouTube. And they put the Yankees, the first 4 games of the Yankee season, 2 of them were on a pay service, Apple Plus and ESPN Plus. That is disgraceful. The most successful franchise in the history of North American sports is the Yankees. No debate. The Yankees have 27 championships. No one is close. They are the number 1 franchise in North American professional sports. And in the first 4 games, Rob Manfred in Major League Baseball held the Yankees hostage from television and made Yankee fans have to either sign up for Apple TV or sign up for ESPN Plus. And the only point I'm saying on this, if they can do it to the Yankees, they can do it to you. Look, if you put the Oakland A's on against the Marlins, you're not going to put that on Apple or Peacock. No one's going to watch it anyway. But you take the Yankee games off, or you take NFL games now and put them on these streaming services, which you're going to do with the first game for the Eagle fans. Now, the good news for the Eagle fans in Philadelphia, they'll be able to watch that game on NBC locally. But if we live out here west, we live in Vegas, and we want to watch the opening game of the year. The schedule hasn't come out yet. We don't know who Philly's going to play. But we're not going to be able to watch that on our NBC affiliate. We're going to have to buy Peacock and stream it. So that's a problem here. It's a topic that got everybody worked up over the weekend here. And for Raider fans, look, if you're going to have to chase a Raider game on TV once a year and go find it on a pay service, I think most Raider fans will do that on TV. They will. The big question with the Raiders schedule coming out this year, will the Raiders play internationally? I don't know. I don't think they will, because the Raiders went and played internationally a bunch as their deal was winding down in Oakland. And I think Roger Goodell is going to reward Mark Davis. I don't know this to be accurate, but Raiders aren't going to lose a home game at Allegiant Stadium, which is brand new, to go play somewhere around the world when the Raiders waited for decades to get a stadium like this. So the Raiders could be safe on that, but we don't know about that as a road team and what's going to happen there. So Yankee games, Eagle games, we're kind of going into this pay-per-view portion of our lives together. And when boxing started out on pay-per-view, I remember it like yesterday. My dad, I was already out of the house by then, but I remember fights started going on pay-per-view, and some of the old timers were like, I'm not going to pay $40 or $30 for a fight on HBO pay-per-view. And I said, well, then you're not going to watch the fight because you're going to put it on pay-per-view. Now boxing still is struggling for pay-per-view because not enough fans watch boxing, period. But the model is set for boxing on pay-per-view. The NFL's got to be really careful here. And I think Roger Goodell is rewarding NBC with these Peacock games as they own that. And that's the partnership here. And I think Jeff Bezos is getting rewarded for Amazon for Thursday Night Football and some of the games that are going to end up being streamed there in the playoffs. And, the NBA is one of the only teams that haven't really exploited that model. You can see the NBA mostly on TNT and ESPN. And the same goes with hockey. When they put a game on hockey on ESPN Plus, I'm not going to watch it. Got to support you guys, like myself, the working men and women of this country who don't want to pay for pay-per-view. 702-365-9200. Gilbert Manzano at the top of the hour from Sports Illustrated on the upcoming draft. All right. All right, everybody. I'm going to take this to the top of the hour.
Whenever you made a 1963, it changed the culture, it changed the attitude. And that's what ABC's doing. Keeping the damn cheese, that's what he did.
All right, back, everyone.
Do we have any more here? Any more home? That's okay. I saw Charger. He's testing travel guidelines. He's put next to it. He looks 17,000 currency elevated by 70,000. I get it. That's what it is. If we didn't pay the 8, which we only weren't gonna pay, we get 25. So I got to couple of Max bill, 17, that's a lot of money. So sending a text on it and should pay it. It's a pool pump. That's energy related, that's house.
All right. What else is happening here, everybody? Everybody good? Everybody have a good Easter? What'd you do for Easter? Anybody head out of town?
Seminar, 11 a.m.
Everybody good? Everybody have a good Easter Sunday. Tell me about it.
There's the good seating, so get there early. Or at markpatrickseminars.com.
Hi, I'm Miko, the founder of Miko Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising our families, but let me tell you, with this.
Tony says, would you rather go to game 7 of the World Series or the NBA Finals? It depends. If it's my Knicks in the NBA Finals, much more the Knicks. They haven't been there since, what was it, the Rockets and Olajuwon. I've been a big Yankee games before, so it would be NBA Finals. But if it isn't my team, I don't care either way. I don't care about seeing the Texas Rangers and the Diamondbacks in a game 7 of a World Series or the Celtics playing the Oklahoma City Thunder or something like that. God, these phones have been lame lately, man. I mean, where the hell are the Raider callers, man? Are they too scared and afraid? Like, where are they? We got plenty of people here. I'm going to read from you here, but wow, just these fans are taking a break, man, because they're normally here. It has been lean lately with Raider fans, man. Where the hell are they? I got Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, man. I like everything that he has there. Yeah. Hmm. Caitlin Clark plays tonight against LSU. It's going to be good. That is must-see TV. JT, back with you also live on YouTube. We'll take the YouTube stream up to the top of the hour. If you want to watch the show and do that, we're doing more and more with that. I feel pretty good about it now. We got the microphones, the computers, made a little investment here at the house, so I'll be able to do it here. We do not have the commercials from the radio station. We're not going to have many of the guests on in the YouTube portion of the show. I'll do that with my live stream here, but you'll get to see what I do, the monologues every day. First 20 minutes of the show, half an hour of the show, I leave clear for me before a guest, and that's what I want people to follow us on YouTube and see what we're doing there. Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft is the one that I agree with the most. So there's a whole bunch of mock drafts out there, a ton of them. And it's my job to go through the mock drafts and tell you about them and which ones are going to work better than others here or make more sense. So over the weekend, I talked about Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, which is the closest thing I've seen to what I believe is going to be the first 13 picks. I'm stopping at 13 because the Raiders pick at 13, and that's all I'm interested in for now. But Daniel Jeremiah at number one has Caleb Williams going to Chicago. It's a lock. We all know that. They got rid of Justin Fields. Caleb Williams is the pick. And I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's going to change the game. He's Mahomes, but better than Mahomes at the same age. He probably won't be better than Mahomes in the NFL, but he was better than him coming out of college. That's why he's going to go number one. Daniel Jeremiah has the Commanders taking Drake May at number two. And look, that's one that's a little bit shaky now because a lot of people think Jaden Daniels could go to number two. But I've always thought that Drake May was going to the Commanders, so I'll stay with that. But Jaden Daniels is much more of a hotter prospect now, and more people are starting to look at that. So at number three, Daniel Jeremiah says, I'm sure the Patriots will receive lucrative offers for this pick. At the end of the day, they need to address the most important position on the field, and that will be Jaden Daniels at number three. I would agree with that. You can't pass up Jaden Daniels if you're the Patriots because Bill Belichick's gone, and Gerard Mayo, the new coach, doesn't want to hear for the rest of his life. You passed up on Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels is a stud. The Patriots, they're a conservative franchise. They have been very conservative under Belichick. I think if the Raiders want to get Jaden Daniels, they got to strike a deal at number three with the Patriots. Number four, Minnesota. He has J.J. McCarthy. I agree with this 100%. Daniel Jeremiah says that the Vikings will trade up with their two picks that they have in the first round, and they'll trade the two picks to go up and get J.J. McCarthy. So now four players, four quarterbacks. Number five, Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Jets. I would agree with that. If the four quarterbacks go, then you got to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. to me was going to be the fourth pick overall to Arizona, be the next Larry Fitzgerald. But if they take a quarterback and the Cardinals trade out of that pick, the Jets, imagine giving Aaron Rodgers Marvin Harrison Jr. for the final year of his deal and maybe another one, along with what they have and what they have already. Malik Neighbors, the wide receiver out of LSU, 6 to the Giants. Joe Alt, the tackle, goes to the Titans at 7. I agree with that. I don't think Joe Alt is going to go that fast. You know, there could be a trade with the Chargers. The Chargers, that's what Daniel Jeremiah has. He has a trade with the Jets to get Marvin Harrison Jr. with the Chargers. And then I'll just jump ahead to the Raiders. They have the Raiders, Daniel Jeremiah at 13, and he has Michael Penix Jr. Yeah, Daniel Jeremiah, the best in the business at that. The number one mock draft guy, period, Daniel Jeremiah. Here's what he says about Michael Penix Jr. The Raiders signed Gardner Minshew to compete against Aiden O'Connell. However, I don't think those two quarterbacks have the ceiling that Penix has for the NFL. There's an assumption that Penix is more of a second rounder, but I believe his skill set is a unique fit for the Raiders' style of play. That is interesting. That is real. So Michael Penix Jr. probably has a second grade. I don't grade players, but I think overall he's probably a late first-round pick. And why would the Raiders take him at 13? Because there's no other quarterbacks after that they want. So if the Raiders take Penix at 13, that's going to be a hot topic here coming into the draft. And I think Penix, who's going to have his pro day, already had his pro day. He's going to have his throw days coming to Vegas with the Raiders and the dinner and all that. That's all set to go. He should look pretty good there. The talk on Penix Jr. is he isn't as good with intermediate passes at the long ball. That's something that's got to get fixed. We've seen enough of that film coming through college that he's not great intermediate pass-wise, but he can get improved on that. And we'll see what happens with what's going to happen with the offensive play calling under a new offensive coordinator here. So that's our number one of the show. Gilbert Manzano from Sports Illustrated will join us at about 1:05. And then we'll have Darren Millard. If you're a Golden Knight fan, I'm the only guy in town. I'm the only guy in town this time of day talking about the Stanley Cup champs. We're not in Canada, everybody. We're in Vegas. We're going to do hockey because we have a great hockey team in town. We have the reigning champs. We'll talk VGK next hour. 702-365-9200. Brought to you by Modelo, the number one beer in America. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. You can listen now on the Raiders mobile app for free, and we'll continue to do this. Some shows I'm going to have guest heavy in the first hour. Maybe I'll stream the second hour. I'm not going to live stream 2 hours most days here, so you got a good hour here. Great to see everybody here. Thank you. Please hit subscribe. Please hit like, and please share this with other Raider fans. Want to get the word out to the Raider Nation. Thanks so much.
Since 1925.